Konichi, what is up, my grasshoppers? Hello, welcome. We are here. We're doing it. Sensei Humor's first ever tier maker, actually. I don't think I've ever done a tier list before. No, I haven't. I actually have not done a tier list before. That is very interesting and very exciting, right? What a way to start off my tier maker list with Pokemon. One of my top loves of all time. And not just Pokemon. Pokemon Unite, of course. Again, super excited to get into this. I want to get right into it. I'll try to keep this as quick and short and helpful as possible. I do know these tier list videos can get long. I do watch a lot of them myself. And I do know it's good to be informative as well as short. And I know sometimes it needs to be long because you want to make sure you get all your opinions out and everything about it. With that being said, I just want to mention here, I am not a pro player by any means. I'm not God tier. The only flex I have, if any, is I've hit Masters for 3 seasons. I did skip a season, and that's about it. I do play a lot of Unite. I do play a lot of that. So that is all I will say. Just don't take my word as absolute, as God tier or anything like that. I just kind of want to make this to be informative and just what I think just over the course of playing. I have been playing since the start, but then again, like I said, skip the season. But super excited to do this. Let's get into it. Before we get started, I would really love and appreciate if you guys could smash that sub button and like the video. It would do a whole lot for Sensei. You have no idea. I love you guys if you could do that. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get into the tier list. All right, who should we start with? Oh, wait a minute. Sensei, what are you doing? You haven't even told the beautiful grasshoppers our tier list here. Check this out. We got Arceus tier, right? Which is the God tier. I feel like, Arceus is the God. It should be up there, right? Below that, which is the S tier, the super effective tier, another Pokemon term, right? I think that's just, it's fitting, and I think it's best for that. And we got the absolutely good tier for A tier. We got the beautifully balanced tier for B tier, because B tier is just balanced, not too good, not too bad, beautifully balanced. We have the C tier, cottony love for me, because it's not too bad, but it needs a little bit of loving. So that we got that for C. And D, my favorite pun I made. They know, I know, we all know it's bad tier. That's what we're gonna do for the D tier. And I'm super excited. Let's get into it, guys. I'm super excited. Let's start off with the attackers, right? Attackers are used a lot, and I think attackers, if not speedsters, are the funnest to play. So let's get right into it. So we got Cinderace. Cinderace, where am I gonna put you? Let's put this as a placeholder for now. You know what? Actually, I think A is a good tier for Cinderace. I think absolutely good is where Cinderace should be. I play Cinderace quite a bit. I think he's my 3rd most played Pokemon, mainly because the pirate skin is fantastically beautiful and great. I think, I don't know. I kind of want to say A tier, or excuse me, S tier, but no, I just don't. I just think there's other attackers or attacker that's better than A tier. No, I think absolutely good is where it's at. His burn is super good. His feint is fantastic. You can get out of so many horrible situations with feint, and I think his blaze kick, which is just so good, can go in and you can kind of choose the direction to evade too. It's just so good, especially if he's jungling, right? If you have a Cinderace as a jungle and he gets those levels up and he's eating lanes, dude, he is unstoppable. His basic attacks just absolutely melt if he's high enough, and just it's quickly leveling. I think A tier is where Cinderace should be at for sure. Thinking, oh man, I'm so tempted, but no. I want to be kind of strict and not strict at the same time, if that makes sense. But I think, yeah, we're sticking to it, Sensei. Cinderace is A tier. All right, moving on. Cramorant, our next attacker. Cramorant, where do we put you? Cramorant is definitely, no, Cramorant is, I'm gonna say Cramorant is C tier. Cottony love for me, because he did get a lot of love. Don't get me wrong, boys and girls. He got a lot of good improvements to his kit. I think he still needs a little bit more. However, I have seen, sorry, I kind of ate my word there. I have seen some godly Cramorant players, some amazing ones. So I think people who are like super into Cram, has been playing it since the beginning. Yes, like I think they could do they could do A tier worth of damage and carrying for the team, especially if they have those good Unite placements. It's just, I think I don't see him a lot in casual or rank for that matter. I do play, this is basically, I'm basing this on rank, by the way. Sorry if I didn't mention that earlier. But you don't see a whole lot of it in rank. You do see, I think we saw rare cases in competitive in the AOS Cups. But for the most part, I think C is a good spot for it. It's a good Pokemon. It's not great. A little less better than the balanced Pokemon I might put up here later. But C is a good spot for our boy Cramorant. I think the dive build is probably where you want to go if you're kind of wondering which build to run with the Cram. It does have a bit of a learning skill. Learning gap? Why can I think of the word? Sensei's just out of it today. But yes, I think you know what I mean. High skill stealing. Skill stealing. There we go. But yes, C is good for Cram. C for Cramorant. That's perfect. C for Cramorant. Let's move on to the next attacker, shall we? We have our girl, Gardevoir. I love Guardy. I want Guardy to be so good. She is so elegant and she's so beautiful. And I absolutely love her Unite move. Her Unite move is so good. You can combo this with so many things. With Cinderace's Unite, for example. I've seen people combo it with Ninetales Unite, with Blastoise Unite. There's just so many things you can do. I still think, though, despite her Unite move, she's still a C. I think C is a good spot for Guardy. She can dish out a lot of damage. Nothing crazy to go home about. I think Future Sight is still the build for Guardy. But yeah, I'm trying to almost make my brain make me move it into B. But I think C is where she belongs. I think C is where she belongs. Her Unite move is probably, to be kind of harsh, is the only reason why you really like Guardy. You know, she's a little bit squishy. She has a little bit more health than the squishy attackers, but I just think that if you punish Guardy early, it's over. If you get routes and Curlish, she's kind of dead in late by the side there. There's been a lot of matches I've been in where they had a Guardy on their team and you bully the routes or you're just dominating the lane. It takes forever to get caught up. But I will say her Unite is very clutch in a lot of instances, which is pretty good. So let's see for Guardy. Let's move on here to our next attacker, Greninja. My favorite attacker. I'm a little bit biased though because I do love water Pokemon and it's a starter. I always choose the water starters. Just saying, water team all the way in every gen, no matter what you pick. Let me get a water here. Sensei's kind of choking up a little bit, but okay. Where do I put you? I know you're an S tier. I believe you're an S tier. Yes, you're super effective. I just had to question myself because you know why? Putting something in the S tier is big, right? Like it's not for nothing. S tier is considered to be the best. I just think Greninja right now it's so good. It's been good for a while. It got even better. Surf is just insane. Like you could just sweep a team with Surf. I think plus points for just the cool looking skin with a rice hat too. Just saying. But man, it's good lane. It's good jungle. If you see a Greninja, you're going to be a little bit scared no matter what match you're in. Just, let's be honest, right? And the smoke screen is so good. I even think the double team is good. I know the smoke screen Surf is like the go-to combo, but man, they're both good. And I think that's what's so good about Greninja. There's just no question about it. He's the super effective tier, 100%. S tier Greninja, no questions about it. Pick him. Moving on. Let's get to a next attacker here. Where is our next attacker? Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales. I love Alolan Ninetales' kit. I love her freeze on her basic attacks. Her early lane game is insanely strong, but I don't know where I want to put this. I want to put her on A tier. She can dish out some good damage. I've actually played my last couple of matches as Alolan Ninetales. We had a friendly tank with us using Blastoise, and I did 100k damage in ranked, like over 3 matches, right? Each one about 90 to 100k. She can dish out a lot of damage, and this is, I know, the Blizzard and I'm not sure. It's not the Dazzling Gleam, but it's basically the opposite of Dazzling and Aura Veil. It's insane. It's insane. She's very, very strong. I don't think she's A tier, though. I'm gonna... Because, you know, it's situational, right? I feel like she's only very good if you have a tank with you, or if you have a good lane combo partner, maybe like with a Pikachu or something like that. So in that case, and I mean, her Unite's really good, but it's not great. It does a good amount of damage. But I'm going to put her B tier. We're going to be strict, like I said. B tier for Ninetales. High B tier, though, right? High B tier. Very, very close to A. Just because of the damage she can do. But I feel like her synergy with tanks is just... That makes her that much better. So we're going to keep her at high B tier. Yeah, I think that's good. Sensei is happy with that. Speaking of Pikachu, let's go on to Pikachu. Pikachu did get a couple of improvements. And I think my thoughts are the same for Pikachu as they were for Ninetales. I think Pikachu is a high B tier. I know her attack, I don't know why I said her. Pikachu's attack got increased. It got some lovin'. Pikachu got some lovin'. And I think recently it might have got a tad weaker. It's either that or the buffs from other Pokemon were just so much better that Pikachu might have just got left and not tuned up to with everybody else. So you know what? This is very strict. I want to put her in A tier just because I don't know why I keep saying her. Just don't mind Sensei if he says her for Pikachu. I want to put Pikachu in A tier, but I feel like it's kind of the same argument with Guardy, that if you bully Pikachu early, its presence is kind of bad late game. Pikachu early to mid game is insane, especially with Electro Ball, especially with the net. It's just wild. The stun potential, right? And like I said, that's early game, right? Once you start breaking the first goals, the first top and bottom goals, Pikachu kind of starts to slowly peel off, just because, you know, you're not blocking anything from coming to score on you. You're not setting up anything. It's more like team fights. And I feel like in team fights, Pikachu does do fairly well, but not like as great as an A tier might, as opposed to Cinderace. I'm going to also put it with Ninetales tier. These two are a very good combo, by the way, if you're just having two attackers. But yeah, I think beautifully balanced. Pikachu is beautifully balanced. You're not bad Pokemon at all. If you choose them, more than likely you'll have a good match regardless. So I think B tier is perfect because they're balanced attackers. Okay. Moving on to the next Pokemon here. Who we grabbing? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Sylveon. Ooh, Sylveon. Sylveon is very strong. We did see a Sylveon from the winning team in the North American AOS Cup. I actually have a build video for this, and you know what? I'm gonna say that Sylveon is... I'm gonna put it in A tier. I want to put it on B tier just because I don't think it's as good as it used to be, and that may be due to everybody else getting buffs or just getting stronger. But I'm gonna put it in the A tier for the fact that it's just well in all lanes, right? If you have it in jungle, it's great. Hyper Voice, Calm Mind is just so strong. You dish out a good 60 to 70 damage if you play this correctly. I think that's either lane, jungle or top or bottom lane, right? It's so good and it's so flexible. You have so much, especially with the X speed and like in the build video I did, you just have so much leaning room. I'm just thinking to myself if I really want to put this A or high B, but I think no, as an attacker, this is good. I think she definitely belongs in A tier. Sylveon is very good. It's very good. Very, very consistent damage. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a very consistent Pokemon. You should do good with it as long as you know what you're doing and its movesets. You're gonna have a good match. Excuse me, my sinuses are acting up. But yeah, you have a great match. Sylveon belongs in A tier. That's where you belong, Sylvie. A tier is where you go, and A tier is my final judgment. Moving on, Venusaur. Good old Venusaur. Man, Venusaur got a lot of love, and it was very strong. I will say, too, I have been seeing a lot more of the Solar Beam builds lately. I thought the Petal Dance Giga Drain was the way to go. I'm going to be very harsh. I know not a lot of people agree with me. They might say Venusaur is B tier, but I actually think it's C tier. I think it's C tier, and I think it's just because, not because it's not strong. Like I said, a lot of these Pokemon do very well on their own. Bulbasaur is a good early game Pokemon too, and the Solar Beam hits hard, right? But I think it's a specific comp type of Pokemon. Like, you need a specific team for it to run really good, and if you bully it kind of early, it does take a minute to get up there. Its Unite though is very good too. Oh, I'm really debating on getting B, but I want to be strict with myself and for you guys. I want to be as concise as I can, and I really just think Venusaur is B. Excuse me, C. I think Venusaur is just really C. It needs a little bit of loving. It's almost there. We'll put it high B. We'll put it at the top. How about that? I like that. I'm happy with that. High C. It needs a little bit of loving. Not too much. Not too much, Pokemon Unite. Not too much. It's almost in a sweet spot, but I think it just needs a little more. So I think C is the perfect place for Venusaur. All right. Move on to our next attacker. I'm just making sure I'm not missing. There's so many Pokemon now. I love that, right? Remember when the Pokemon Unite first started? There was still a lot, but man, loving it. Decidueye. This is another one of my favorite Pokemon. I love archers, and Decidueye is literally an archer. I think easy B tier. Easy B tier, enough said. It's balanced. It's perfect. He is squishy. Decidueye is very squishy. However, this thing packs a punch. Literally glass cannon. This is like the perfect... Decidueye is the perfect example of a glass cannon. He hits so hard. And I'll be on my all-rounders like Charizard. And even my tanks. I would just be hiding in the bush. And a Decidueye might think you're there. Hit you with that arrow. It hurts so much. I think it ignores defense too. It's just so good. And even its Razor Leaf combo, it hits. It's just... It stacks. It's crazy. And I think B tier is good. I would put it in A tier, but I think the fact that it's really squishy, things like Talonflame can pick it off, Gengar can pick it off. If you kind of just single it out, you shut it down pretty easily. You gotta really kind of find them, right? They're known to hang back and just lace you with arrows from the back. So I think B tier is perfect. Very high B tier, if not the highest. I think in the attackers here, for me, it's so strong. His Unite move did get a little buff, and it can be very strong. Especially, it can use smartly too, right? Like I've seen Decidueye use its Unite move, like back near its jungle on Zaps, and just hit it from afar and try to steal it, and it's very good. Decidueye, easy B tier, beautifully balanced. Moving on to the next attacker, we have, I almost said Aegislash, but that's an all-rounder. Duraludon. Duraludon was so strong when it came out. Man, that Dragon Pulse, am I right, guys? Oh my god, that thing was a menace. I think B tier is a perfect place where I put it. B tier is a good place for Duraludon. It was very strong. It got a lot of nerfs, but the nerfs didn't put it so bad. It's still a viable Pokemon. Its Unite move is very good. Man, you know what? No, I'm going to be strict. I actually think this is C tier. I apologize. I think he's a C tier. Yeah. And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier with, I don't think that its nerfs were like bad. It's just that everything else I feel like got improved. And it's kind of just stayed where it's at, where everything else kind of went up a little bit, right? Like, I would much rather have a Ninetales or Pikachu on my team versus a Duraludon. Right? Yeah, I think this is perfect. Cottony love for Duraludon, 100%. Very strong Pokemon still to use. High C tier. But I think C tier is where it's at just because there's so many other better attackers you can use. Anything above, right, that you would rather have than choosing a Duraludon on your team. Still a very strong Pokemon, regardless. Despite the nerfs, it still hits very hard. And they are very scary to go against when they unite too. So, yeah, C tier for boy Duraludon. Moving on to the next attacker is Espeon. Should I save this for last? I think we'll save this for last. It is the newest Pokemon. Let's save it for last. Let's save it for last. All right. Just making sure I got through all the other attackers here before we move on. Let us move on to the supporters. Should we do supporters next? Let's do supporters next. No, you know what? Let's do speedsters. I want to do speedsters. I think speedsters where we're going to go. And we start with Absol. Absol, where do you go? You go in the tier you were named after. I think Absol goes for absolutely good. I feel like recently Absol has kind of made a comeback, right? I've had a couple of people playing with me on my streams, and I've been seeing the potential of Absol come back again. Late game, it's still pretty bad, but if you have a jungle Absol on your team, this thing will just dominate any lane fights that it goes into. It's just the crit is so good. It bullies so much Pokemon at younger levels, and I think for that reason alone, it's A tier. It's just absolutely good. Just because I think it bullies to the point where it really stunts the team from leveling up, especially if they're just in rhythm, right? If they got a rhythm going, they're getting jungle. They're going down helping you. They're going back to jungle. They're going up and helping you. It's hard to stop. And even at the end, his Unite move is very good. It's a strong Unite move, right? It's not the best, but it does a lot of damage, especially towards the zap fights. If you have it there, you're not like scared. The other team is scared. It's scary when you see that Unite move go off. It's almost like you just know you're gonna lose, especially if it's already ahead of you in levels. A tier for Absol, right where it should be. Perfect. Absolutely good Absol. Moving on to the next speedster, we have Gengar. Gengar, my friend. Gengar has been kind of moving everywhere throughout Unite, I feel like. Gengar, I think when it first came out, was very good. I think he was S tier good. He kind of went down to C after a while, came back up to B with Dream Eater, and I think right now, no, A tier. It's easy A tier for Gengar. Gengar can literally just sweep a team if it's high enough, right? Like, if it's got the levels, it's been jungling, similar to Absol, its Hex is just a monster. I know it can be shut down not very easily, but I do know it can. But man, if there's a Gengar on the team, you're always looking out for it, right? It's always something you're trying to look out for. You're trying to isolate so you can kill it fast, because its moveset, it will just go and hex and hex and hex, and your health bar will just chunk down. He's insane. Easy A tier for Gengar, guaranteed. I do think Gengar, if you were to ask me between these two, Gengar is a bit better than Absol, 100%. It's just so good. His Unite move too, it's so awesome, right? Like where'd you go, right? You don't know. They know, but you don't know. It's scary. Gengar is a good Pokemon. It's in a good spot right now. Sadly, I think these are the only two speedsters that are going to be this high, but let's get there. Let's get there when we get there, and let's move on to the next speedster, Talonflame. Oh, my baby Talonflame. I main Talonflame for 2 seasons. I love Talonflame with all my heart. The first Pokemon I got, it's funny, my first gacha was the Talonflame skin when Unite came out to the Switch, and I got it, and I thought it was a sign. I knew it was a sign because Talonflame hits hard. Talonflame used to be up here. It really did. But I'm sad to say, I think, Talonflame was up in S tier, I think, for a long time. You don't really see it that much anymore. And I still play Talonflame, and it's missing something, right? Especially if they got an enemy that's nulling, it's like if you have a full heal, if you have a Blissey, it shuts down. You can't burst a lot, right? I feel like the burst potential that it used to have is not where it was. And I'm gonna say this a lot, but I think it's one of the Pokemon that they knew was good, right? So they kind of left it alone for a bit, and they increased a lot of other ones, and this one just didn't kind of get tuned up with it. So sadly, I do think Talonflame is B tier for now. Yeah. It's not a bad Pokemon. It still does the burst damage. It can still single out the squishy attackers. It can jump on the Ninetales. It can jump on the Decidueye, Sylveon, all the above, even Gengar. But if you don't knock it out on that jump, you're kind of screwed. To be honest, if you don't kill the Pokemon you fly on or Brave Bird on, you're just kind of in trouble, right? You need to just kill a lot, and I just don't think the burst potential is where it was at before. So B tier for Absol. B tier for Talonflame. My heart aches because I love Talonflame. Such a spicy bird, but not as spicy as it used to be. Moving on to the next speedster. We got Zeraora. Zeraora, man. Zera used to be a powerhouse, man. And you know what? I will say they gave him a lot of love. They gave Zera a lot of love, and he's a lot more chunky. I feel like he's a lot more chunky, right? I feel like his health, like his regain is insane. But then I also feel like because of that health boost, they like decreased a lot of his attack, so he kind of fell off there. Like, I don't see a Zera carrying as much as I used to, right? You could usually go into a match, and if you had a Zera in the jungle, you were pretty comfortable knowing that the Zera could come into the lane and just clean up what you didn't. Nowadays, it's not that. It's that feeling is not secure. It's like you're kind of wondering, uh-oh, is he gonna get it? And don't get me wrong, Zera still hits really hard, has great damage. I just don't think it's as good as like an Absol or Gengar, right? So for that case, I actually think it's even worse than a Talonflame, to be honest. I'm going to put it on B tier. I'm sorry, Cottony. Cottony tier. He needs love. Zera needs some loving. And it makes sense. He was in a good spot for so long, right? He kind of recently just fell off, I feel like. I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. But I think C tier is a good spot. Like, I think I would rather choose Talonflame over Zera any day. Zera still does good damage, great survivability. I just don't think his Unite move hits as hard. His discharge is not as hard as it used to be, right? I feel like enemies can get out of it a lot easier than they could. Versus before, where it would just chunk health down. It was kind of like Venusaur. I think that's the perfect way to put it, right? You could just get stuck in that discharge. You knew you were done. Nowadays, it's just kind of like, I can take this. It's not too bad. I'll live. So, we'll have it there, right? Moving on before I get sad, because I did like Zeraora as well. Next speedster we have is, I think that's it. That is it. I'm just making sure I'm going over here. Yeah, Charizard. No, that is it, huh? It's interesting. We haven't had speedsters in a long time. Now that I'm thinking about it, huh? We all know the next Pokemon is so-and-so. I won't say it. I almost did. I'll save it. I won't spoil anyone. But the next Pokemon is definitely not a speedster. If it is, I'll be a little surprised, but no. We need some speedsters. Speedsters need some love. And I think this usually happens. There usually comes a couple of patches where the speedsters kind of get stuck in this weird zone where they kind of boost them, right? And they're so good. All of them, you can choose kind of anybody. And then eventually, as things go up, new Pokemon get released, they kind of just get kind of clumped into this spot where you don't know what to do with it. And then eventually, they get buffs again. That's how I've always seen it anyways. But maybe we'll get a new speedster soon. Hopeful for it. Hopeful for a new speedster. We'll see. We'll see. Moving on. All-rounders. Let's do our all-rounders. Let's start with Charizard. You know what? I think I'm it's weird. It's like my brain, because I'm usually putting the Pokemon, right? When we talk about it, I put it somewhere. But it's almost like my brain is putting it in the right spot. Because I think Charizard is a B tier. Charizard is very good. Man, I really want to put this in A, though. No, I'm going to put it B. And I'm going to put it B for this reason only. Charizard is very, very good in jungle. I just feel like there's so many Pokemon now that take the jungle instead. That kind of makes you use Charizard in a lane, right? Like you're going to probably have a Greninja that wants jungle. You're probably going to have an Espeon that wants jungle or one of these speedsters, right? And without that jungle leveling, I feel like Charizard is in B tier, right? Because most of the time, you're not gonna have that jungle. Someone else is gonna have it, and it's not that to say that he's a bad laner. He's not. He's pretty good. He's pretty good, right? But I think he's B tier good. He's B tier good. His Unite move is super good, man. The seismic toss is insane, especially for Zapdos fights. I love using Charizard's ult to solo somebody out that's like in the back, like a Decidueye, right? I know it's gonna stand back there, and I just pick it up and focus fire on it. Or if there's somebody with a crazy Unite move like Blastoise or even Blissey with the God Egg, I call it. You just lift it up. It cancels it out, you know? It's so good for that. But again, I think B tier is perfect just because it's a good Pokemon either way. But for the most part, he needs to be in the jungle, and most of the time he won't have that option available to him unless you fight someone over it. But please don't do that. But okay, let's move on to our next all-rounder, Garchomp. Oh man, Garchomp might be our first D tier for the night. Garchomp gets a little bit of love here and there. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I think sadly, like I love Garchomp with all my heart. It's the same thing with Charizard, but it's even worse, right? Like, Garchomp really needs that jungle to thrive, right? If you have it in the jungle, it's really good. However, having other Pokemon in the jungle is better, if that makes sense. Garchomp needs to be in the jungle, right, to be very good, because he hits hard, he is super good. But if you have another Pokemon, another attacker, right, Greninja, any of these in the jungle, they just perform that much better than Garchomp, right? I don't say I would rather have, but I just feel like he's D tier for the fact that even if he gets jungle, if you have ranged attackers on your team, it's just so easy to avoid all his stuff, right? His Unite move is a menace. It always has been. It's always scary when Garchomp uses his Unite move. But you know what I mean? I feel like even with Dragon Dive and Draco Meteor, right? I think it's Draco Meteor. But I just feel like currently it's not where it should be. It hasn't been for a long time. Garchomp needs love. He's such a good Pokemon. His attacks just shred objectives. But again, I think I said it perfect with the jungle analogy, right? He's so good in the jungle, and that's where he needs to be. If he's in a lane, I hate to say it, but it's just not good. Just in my opinion. I just don't think Garchomp should ever be lane if you want it to be good on your team, right? I guess if you're dominating the team and he's in the lane, it's a win-win. But if you're doing just average and he's in your lane, he's horrible. You need him to be good. He needs to be good in order to succeed. He needs a lot of loving. So sorry, Garchomp, but they know, I know, we all know it's bad. That's the tier you're gonna be in. Also breaks my heart because I love Dragon Pokemon too. But moving on, Garchomp. Okay, Lucario is not even a question. S tier. Like, Lucario has always been good. I don't think he's ever been bad. I mean, there might have been like very little patches where he was A tier, right? But he's always A tier, S tier for me. Yeah, S tier. Power Punch is so good. You can't even be stopping a Power Punch. Extreme Speed, yeah, the reset. This is not even a question, everybody. Lucario, if you know what you're doing, Lucario will just shred the team too. Especially with Extreme Speed. It's insane. The reset is wild. And it's good. Lucario's kind of been... I feel like Lucario might be the only Pokemon that's kind of been chilling in the same area since its beginning. You know? Yeah. That's just simple. Super effective Lucario. That's easy. Easy. Next one. We don't even need to talk about it. Lucario is just so good. If you're wondering, Power Punch is good. Extreme Speed is good. Use either one of them. Bone Rush for both. It's so good. Like, both of them work. It just depends on your playstyle. It really does. Machamp. Machamp for me is easy A tier. Machamp got a lot of love. I think out of all the Pokemon I'm going to be talking about here, or I've talked about here, he's gotten the best buffs recently, right? The dynamic punch and the close combat is insane. And I remember I was watching, I think it was Spraggles. I was watching our content cowboy make a video just when he does the jump, and just the increased value he gets, it's insanity. It's crazy. And his Unite move, like, come on, and we all know that is the scariest thing to see. When you see him go into Machamp mode, you are running. You are spreading out, because if he gets you in a clump, he will almost team wipe you every time, right? It's just so strong. You need to shut him down. If you don't, even if you don't, he's just a powerhouse, man. The Machamp in his name, like I said in my other video, he's just, the champ is not there for show. He's a strong guy. Machamp's always been pretty good. I feel like he's always been being above, but man, he's A tier. Very close to S tier. If he got a couple more buffs, he'd be insane. He's very good. Machamp is very good. Very strong Unite move, and lane, like bottom lane, or no, excuse me. I think top lane is probably, I like him in bottom lane too, but top lane is just so, I could be wrong. I don't know. Is top lane smaller than bottom lane? I feel like it is, right? Yeah, it has to be. But I feel like he thrives in, excuse me, sorry about that. He thrives in smaller areas because he's able to just kind of hone in and just hit you, right? And his early karate chop too is so good. It's so good. So yeah, Machamp, easy A. Easy A, absolutely good. No pun intended. Pun intended. Moving on to our next all-rounder, Serena. Serena's a good Pokemon. I almost want to say she's a C tier, but no, she's definitely balanced. Balanced Pokemon. Beautifully balanced. Serena is just, it's just average. I think this is just the perfect way. You know what's funny? I feel like out of all the Pokemon, Serena fits this tier the most, right? There's not much bad to say about her. But there's not much good to say about her either. You know? She's just perfectly balanced. She's not gonna, she's not gonna wipe an enemy team. She might. If she's got the levels and she's over there, she doesn't need to be in jungle. She shouldn't be in jungle. You should have another Pokemon there. But in lane, she's just so good. She's a good presence to have. That's a good way to say it too. She's a good presence to have in your team. She's scary. She's tanky. She's almost like a damagey defender, to be honest. And perfectly balanced for Serena is very good. I think both of her movesets are very good. I think I like the Leafy. Is it Leafy Glide better though? I think I like that one better. But her Unite move is also very similar to Charizard, where you can kind of solo and single out somebody. But I just don't think her damage potential is where it should be in order for her to be in A tier. So that's why she's in B tier. And for that reason, though, she's not bad. She's very good. She's very good. If you choose Serena, you'll definitely have a good match, and you'll definitely secure some kills and protect your team a bit for sure, too. So Serena's easy B tier. Moving on. Next all-rounder, Dragonite. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't played Dragonite too much. I've maybe played it 2 times. So my opinions for him right now are going to be based on what I've seen. And I'm going to say C tier for Dragonite. C tier. Yeah. And again, I could be wrong. Let me know. But I've gone against a lot of them. His Unite move is super good, but it's not threatening. It's easy to move out of his Unite move. It's easy to run away from his Unite move. And if you focus him, right, he's just going to melt. And I feel like it takes a little bit too long to level up. That could just be me. But I think his movesets are very good. The Hyper Beam hurts. But based on from what I've seen, it couldn't be me, though. Like I said, this one's kind of an oddball for Sensei. Because I've fought against a lot of Dragonites, and almost every time I don't feel like I see a Dragonite, I'm like, man, that guy carried their team. No, it's just kind of average, if not a little bit below, right? Like, I would say a Serena would do more for a team than a Dragonite, just from based on what I've seen of Dragonite. So, for that reason, I'm just going to keep it at C tier. This Unite move is good. He's very, very tanky. I love his basic attack combos with the tri attack. I think that's so cool. I love that. But I think he needs a little bit of loving. So we need some love. Cottony love for me for Dragonite. Next all-rounder, Aegislash. Aegislash is an A Pokemon. Easy. He is just so scary, man. They're annoying. Like, let's be real. They are annoying. They're annoyingly good. Annoyingly strong. You come in, you see that triangle slash, you're scared. Because it hits hard. He dashes in. He knocks you up. It's wild. It's so wild. And it's so strong. And the shield just gives it that survivability. And I think that's the reason why I like it in A tier, right? It's not that he hits hard, but the fact that he can change stance and just kind of take some damage and then wait for that attack to come off cooldown and just pop it right back, right? It's insane. Aegislash is a very, very good Pokemon. He's kind of up there with Machamp. I think Aegislash did get a little bit of loving. He got some updates. I remember that. And that kind of it didn't put him too crazy, but it put him on A. I think he was a B tier, I would have said before, and definitely an A tier now. Solid choice for any team. He's good at jungle, but if he's not in the jungle, it's okay too. He's a good Pokemon. Good Pokemon either way. He's like the Serena of the A tier, right? He's like perfect for the A tier, but he just hits so hard. The damage to what kind of puts him up here. So definitely A tier for Aegislash. Next all-rounder. I feel like I skipped one here. Did I not? No, I didn't. Azumarill. I was so excited when Azumarill came out, mainly because it was a water Pokemon, but I don't know. I want to say Azumarill. It's going to be here. It's going to be B tier. Because, no, you know what? No, I'm going to say C. Easy C. Azumarill is definitely a C tier. Yeah, C tier for Azumarill. And let me tell you why. I don't ever see an Azumarill carrying a team when it should be, right? Like Azumarill's movesets, it seems like it should be there. It feels like it should be way up there on B or A, but it's not. It just doesn't hit. Like you would think the crit 1v1 is good, but it's not as good as it is on paper. If that makes sense. Like it's still a threat when you go 1v1 against it, but I think the fact that it's like Dragonite to me. It's perfectly like Dragonite, like from what I've seen too, right? Like it takes a lot of damage. It can dish out a good amount, but not enough to make a difference, if that makes sense. So for that reason, C tier, C tier for Azumarill. Moving on to our next one here. We have, is that our last one for all-rounders? It is. Supporters. Let's go into the supports. Blissey. Blissey for me is A tier. A tier for Blissey. The safeguard is really good. I actually even like Egg Bomb in certain situations. It's so good. It separates the team when you need to. I just think it's so good. Right? And I don't want to get too lengthy here just because there's still a lot of Pokemon to go through. And Blissey's just good. Her Unite move is insane. Like, my favorite thing to do with Blissey is if you're in a team fight and there's your tanks in front and you're all in the back, you go out the back, you egg all the way, God egg all the way to that. You knock every enemy up in the air while you do so. It's so good. It's just so good. And her safeguard and her heals are just it's so much better too, right? It's a good heal support. And I feel like her and Edagos switched, right? I think Edagos is B. Edagos used to be A, if not S tier. Edagos kind of got knocked down. I think with the same idea with the other Pokemon, Edagos was never, I feel like, improved too much because it didn't need to be, right? It was so good and it didn't need to be touched, but I feel like everything else just got so much better and Edagos just kind of fell by the wayside. And now it's balanced. It's not a bad Pokemon. Edagos is still good to have, but I would rather have a Blissey. Her lane presence is just way scarier than Edagos at the moment. So that's where it's at for sure. Mr. Mime. I want to put Mr. Mime at C because I have seen some cracked Mimes, but I think I have the same argument with Mime as I do for Cram, is that Mime can be very, very good if you know what you're doing, but if you don't have those early levels, if you're not dominating your lane with Mime, he won't take off that well. Because I think his main attacks kind of take off a little later levels. I don't know the exact levels, I'm sorry. But especially the guard swap, it's so good. He's so tanky, and he does a lot of damage. The confusion just, jeez, it's wild. It's wild. The push is, it's always been good. And he did get Lovin'. He needs a little bit more. Needs a little bit more. Needs a little bit more. So I think it's C tier for Mr. Mime. Moving on to our next support, Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff would be an easy B for Sensei, but no. I think the Sing is not as good as it used to be. I know not a lot of people will agree with that, but I just don't think it is. I feel like there's so many Pokemon nowadays now that just can get out of it, right? Especially your S tier Pokemon. Like almost all these Pokemon up here can get out of that. A Blissey could block that. Could block that and another Pokemon. Everyone's just so quick. You know it's coming, right? Not a lot of rollout Wigglytuffs, but you know it's a Sing. You know it's coming. You back up a little bit because you know it's going to go in hot and Sing. Early lane, though, very good. I still like Wigglytuff early game. It's just so strong. The charm is super annoying. You're just trying to get away and you're like, nope. You want to get away and hit it, but it pulls you back in. Easy C tier for Wigglytuff, for Sensei. Oh, for sure, for sure. Hoopa, our last support. Our last one. I just realized, too, I think these last Pokemon, a lot of these are going to be in S tier, or if not very high. But Hoopa is easy S tier. Hoopa's so good. I love Hoopa. Or as I call Hoopa de Gasolina. I love Hoopa. It's so good. I like Trick. I know Trick got nerfed, but I still like Trick. But it's still good. Even the teleport is so good. You can go in between. I've seen some very, very good Hoopas who can time it perfectly and get the placements down exactly. It can warp you in on team fights. It can warp you to the other side of a team fight after you're done. It's so flexible. She's tanky. Don't know why I said she again. But does a lot of damage. Hoopa actually for a support does decent damage too. It's insane. So for that reason, Hoopa is just easy S tier. It's so strong. The Unite move goes up fairly quickly. Hoopa Unbound is just wild. Like the stun it provides, the AoEs it hits, the teleport. Especially in a Zapdos fight, you have a teleport like somewhere else, and you're all there. You can fight. It's getting a little scary. Go back to the teleport, reset, boom. It's so good. It's so good. S tier, easy. All right. Now the defenders. The defenders, Blastoise is an easy S tier for me. Blastoise is so good right now. Blastoise has been good for a long time. I don't think for me, Blastoise was never below A tier. I think it was A tier for a long time, but I think it's got pushed up to A tier. Or S tier, sorry. Yeah. I think Blastoise is just so strong. The rapid spin is so good. You can't stop it. It's insane. Right? And not even that, Surf and Hydro Pump is so good for control. It's my preferred build, actually. But the rapid spin is so good, especially with a lot of the 2-tank metas. Right? It's just so good to have that extra damage. Blastoise is an easy S. I don't even need to talk about this. This is just an easy choice for me. Crustle is definitely C tier. He needs some lovin'. He needs some lovin'. I feel like Crustle was always a B tier, very close to A, but recently, I know like I've seen some new strats come up with his skill set. I just don't think it's good enough still, though. I feel like he's still lacking some damage, right? He's always been the score build kind of guy, kind of get in there and get out. And for that reason, I think he's C, right? He's not usually for Crustle, he's not usually with the team fights. He's scoring. He's scoring. And that's okay. He needs to be doing that. That's kind of what he does. He kind of gets in there, hits things, scores an enemy, runs away, right? And if he does end up fighting you, he's just really thick. It's hard to kill him. But he's not really threatening you, right? It's just more of an annoyance, if anything, than anything. So, I think for that matter, he needs to stay in C. But if you gave him a little bit of an attack boost, he'd be up there on balanced. And I like Crustle on balance. I think that's a good spot for him. But he definitely needs some loving compared to what he used to be. So it's definitely C tier. Moving on to Greedent is also S tier. Greedent is the Crustle. Greedent is what Crustle needs to be. Greedent is annoyingly hard to kill. He's so chunky, right? He moves quick. He heals. The belch, it's so strong for objectives, for staying alive. It's not even. It's the same thing with Blastoise. It's not a question, dude. Greedent is just so good. Thick boy with good damage and survivability. And as a tank, that means everything. Crustle or Greedent is probably what Crustle should be. No, I said that wrong. Crustle is what Greedent should be. I don't even know anymore. Crustle should be Greedent. There we go. Enough said, right? Like, I feel like he has the defense and the survivability, just not the damage output that Greedent has, which makes him so much better. Yeah, that's easy. Mamoswine is an easy A tier. One of my favorite lanes is Ninetales Mamoswine. Let's put it above Ninetales for that. It's just so good, man. I feel like lately too, like his Ice Fang. I love the Ice Fang. I love it's so fun to pick up the enemy, slam them behind you, let your team take care of it. You're into the next Pokemon. I love it. I do it all the time with my boys. I queue up usually a 3-stack, and I'm like, all right, guys, boom. I got the Decidueye behind me. Moving on. It's just so strong. He's really thick, and I think his utility is what makes him really good. He's good control as well, right, with the ice and picking up and just disabling. The Ice Fang disables for a good amount of time, and it's just so good. So I think it's A tier. Yeah, man, a lot of these tanks are just so good, except Crustle's like the only one, right? Like, moving on to Slowbro. Slowbro's, I think, for me, also A tier. Slowbro is just so good. It's the same. It's like Charizard's, and how Charizard and who's the other person I mentioned here who can single out people. I'm drawing a blank right now, but it's just, it could stun. You could literally take a Pokemon out of the team fight with his ult, right? It's insane. And Surf, the stun hits, it's wild. It's wild. Low A for me, but still A, right? I feel like his damage should definitely be up there. And just because I said that, do not do the Scald build. The Scald build's okay, but Surf is just where it's at. It's too good. Surf is good with the multiple stun hits. It gives your team the opportunity just to rag on them some more. And then Telekinesis is just, it's insane too. Yeah, the reason why I like him, he's kind of like your hook guy, right? He's able to stun somebody, hold somebody up for you to brag on. And that sounded weird. Sorry about that. And yeah, so I just think for that reason, Slowbro is A tier. Moving on to Snorlax. Oh, you know what? Snorlax is also pretty bad for me. No, Snorlax is C tier. Snorlax used to be so good, and I just think he's also in that same category. He needs attack increase for me. I still think his block is pretty. I think his block maybe needs to be a little faster too. I still think it's good. It's good control. Not as good as a Greedent and a Blastoise, right? Kind of disorienting the team. Even a Mamoswine, Snorlax, and Crustle. Sadly, the OG defenders we had are, I think, in the worst places they have been right now. I think they need some loving in order to be back where they came from. Not that they're not good. Right, the flail build for Snorlax is still very good, but I'm trying to think if I should put this in B tier, right? But I don't think I can. I think this is where it belongs. Yeah. Sorry, Snorlax. I love you, dude, but you need some loving. We need some loving. Trevenant is also an A tier. I'm gonna say high A tier. I've been playing Trevenant quite a bit. I love playing tanks and defenders. Excuse me. And Trevenant, the Horn Leech is just so good. It pins. I cannot tell you how many times we lose a fight in a lane and I come down and they're going to score and I Horn Leech in and they cannot score. You can just push the whole team back if they're bunched up in the right way. And the Curse, it hits hard early game, right? Like the early lane, if you have Curse, it's a threat. And the heal is so good. I run it with Potion. I think with Potion it's so good because it's like, oh, they think you're going to kill you. Nope, Potion. Pot it up. And you can kind of use the Potion too to kind of save your ability heal. He's very good control. He's in the same boat as Mamoswine with control. A very good control Pokemon. His damage is pretty good too, but Not compared to these two for sure, like with the stuff they can do, but A tier worthy. We gotta put our boy Crashy up on God tier for making this tier list. You probably won't watch this, Crashy, but thank you. I appreciate you. Espeon. Espeon. Espeon is strong. It's very strong. It's so strong that I think it's an S tier, but really it's not. It's A tier. Had to debate you a little bit. I'll say A tier. I feel like if I put Sylveon low here, his burst potential is crazy. Early game to mid game, Espeon is absolutely cracked. Like, you gotta hit your Psyshocks, but man, they just eat the enemy's health. It's insane. It's wild. If you hit it, they're going down. If they have like half health or 40%, it's an easy kill. And if it's not, throw Future Sight, run away. If they don't heal, they're dead. It's just, it's easy. I'm trying to compare it to like endgame, how Espeon is, but I think still endgame, they don't hit as hard as they do early to mid, but it's still enough to matter and impact the team for the win. And Sai hits his Unite beam. His Unite move is so good because it suspends in the air, right? It's not only hitting the Pokemon for damage, but it's also taking them out of the fight for a little bit. So very good. Easy A tier for Espeon. I'm sure we'll get some nerfs and hopefully it doesn't go too far down. I feel like this Pokemon is kind of like what Sylveon was. Sylveon was very strong when it came out. Actually, Sylveon was probably a little bit stronger when it came out, but I still like Espeon. Espeon's very good A tier, 100%. If I had to choose a God tier Pokemon here, it might be Blastoise? No. I think it's Greninja. I'm trying to see here on the S tier. Who's the God tier from here? It's definitely one of these two for me. But I still think... No, Greninja. Greninja's good. Greninja's God tier. Arceus tier for Greninja. Just because you can play this by yourself. You can play it on a team. And it's going to do good either way. Blastoise, on the other hand, you kind of need the team to take it off. But yeah, God tier. Dude, Greninja's in a great spot right now. And that skin, I mean, come on. Wow. We did it. A long time. Holy crap. I talked for a long time. Sorry that the video was I know I still gonna keep it short. I'll definitely work on it in the next videos, but I'm happy. We got it. This is it. God tier. You know what? I'm gonna take a page from my content cowboy here. Just so people don't skip to the end. Let's mix this up a little bit. No. We'll make it somewhat believable, right? We'll make it somewhat believable. We'll put Espeon here. That's kind of obvious though right now. Here we go. I like that. Put Espeon here. We'll put a Venusaur there, Guardy there, Garchomp A. Let's really raise some heads. Let's say Gengar is D tier. Move this up here a little bit. Yeah, why not? All right, let's have some fun. Oh, that's kind of. Let's have some fun here. I think this is good. Oh yeah. That'll show them. All right, guys. I love you all so much. Thank you for showing the love again. If you guys could subscribe and like the video, I would super appreciate it. It means a whole lot for me. It would help me out so much. If not, I still appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Till the next video. Take care. Sayonara.